In last week's Destiny Friday video, I was talking about how I missed mill kill in the current meta. Now, many of you reached out and very reasonably pointed out that Maul Qi'ra could potentially scratch that itch. So today, let's chat about that.
Force push!
Hey there, Star Wars Destiny folks. Welcome back to Destiny Friday here on Days Commando and the Commando Cast. Thanks for checking in once again. Lots actually happening in the Destiny world. We had the big showdown in Swindon over in the UK. We even had some US people fly over there. How did they do? We will find out. But the other part of news is what I'm showing right now. Just this actually pseudo hot off the presses, at least for when I'm shooting this. The 2023 Grand Championships have been announced, so I kind of made a little image here for it. Thank you, Sarah, for continuing to be the one driving this, doing all the images and getting this up. I kind of hack and slash just so I could make it fit on here, but you can follow the article, which I will, of course, put below, which you can go to and get all of the info and the clicky clicks and all that stuff. So we're going to see 3 of them in 2023, one in the UK, the UK Games Expo in NEC Birmingham. I don't know what that NEC means, but Birmingham. And if you live over there and you care, you probably know. We're doing it in the US at Gen Con at Indy. I think most of us knew that was going to happen. There's been a lot of chatter about that over the last, 6-8 weeks or so. But that'll be August 3rd to Sunday the 6th. And then there is one pending for Brazil because we do continue to have a strong Brazil contingent. Actually saw a great picture. I will see if I can find it in editing. No promises. But I saw a great picture of the crew. And I think that was Mos Eisley Gazette, actually. They've been doing a pretty good job getting the typed written word up. But anyway, I want to make sure everyone was aware of this because that's big news, right? IRL Destiny is a thing, and championships and being the best in the world and all that jazz. All right, so let's go ahead and bring up the topic for today's discussion. By the way, I love this backdrop. I think I did a good job with this one. But that's just me patting my own back on that one. All right, so it's also a little creepy, fair enough. All right, so Maul and Qi'ra. So yes, we were talking last week about mill kill. Also, I apologize for, there's a bunch of clouds moving through at springtime and the balance, I can't get the lighting, but you're not here for this. It's even a smaller picture these days, so anyway. All right, so yes, Maul from the shadows. So many of you reached out and said, hey, we're talking mill kill. Well, Maul Qi'ra is mill kill. And it's true. I think to a certain extent. So let's talk about that. So Maul has 2 melee, 1 discard, 2 discard, which is strong, but for 1 indirect resource and a blank. But he does want to deal himself indirect because after you deal damage to one of your characters for the first time each action phase, you may draw a card. That's cool. Then power action, deal indirect to an opponent equal to the difference in the number of cards in your hands to a maximum of 4. So let's put a pin in that one and come back to it later. We then have Qi'ra. She is 11-13 for 11, which is very good. But again, you're tossing indirect at yourself as part of their business plan. So it's 2 gun, 1 melee, 2 melee for 1 indirect, which seems not great. 2 1 discards, which seems fine. A blank, but again, and she has charm, which is not irrelevant. But after you deal damage to one of your yellow characters for the first time each action phase, gain 1 resource. So no resource on her, but she has ways to do that, especially easier if paired with Maul. Then power action, remove 1 charm from a character, deal 1 damage to that character. That's pretty good. She can hand that out. She can also do removal, as we'll look at here in a second. Right, so why did I not consider... So I agree, ultimately. These guys do fit many people's definition of mill kill. I agree. They do not fit my definition of true mill kill because I believe that ultimately their game plan is still damage. I think ultimately that's how this pair, these folks, accomplish their game plan. Now, I'm very aware that discarding is a thing, and you can force bad decisions. But if you look at Maul's power action, doing that discarding obviously helps you for obvious reasons, but it really feeds into what he's supposed to do, which tells me overall that the objective of how this was fundamentally designed was to use disruption to do damage. Furthermore, if you are taking a defensive stance with mill on these guys, these folks, then throwing damage at yourself, especially in a archetype where shields are not really a thing, I think becomes difficult. Now, yes, we have Den of Thieves and all that. I do get it, but I think it becomes more difficult, right? And again, if you compare this to Jyn Cassian, who just outright have fungibility, I don't feel that these characters have fungibility as much as they do pushing two different things for the same objective, I suppose. So that is my take on it. I would be very curious to know in the comments, for those of you who did respond or haven't responded and have an idea now to respond, I would be very curious to know what you think, what your experiences are from playing this, because I'll be honest, I haven't played it. But what I do want to do now is I want to go ahead and put up the deck that I'm going to start practicing with and see if it does me any good. So this is my Maul Qi'ra. This is my stab at a Maul Qi'ra deck. I do want to go with Dune C on this one because I feel that if we're going to go mill kill, we're going to make them pay for it. And again, the mill kill idea is that no matter what you roll, it makes them make bad decisions. So generally, discarding to reroll is going to hurt us less. That's if they have the battlefield. So I selected bow rifle, the Batar. I know the Batar doesn't redeploy, but that's freaking amazing. As well as Vibro Sword, which speaks for itself. You do have Den of Thieves and the High Balan Enforcers. That's basically because it's more dice to get out there, and they're pretty good, I think. Plus, they also do the damage thing. Then for events, we have 20 of them, and as you can see from this, I've gone mostly defensive. That is primarily the way I used to run my Jyn Cassian deck. Back in the day was I had about 6 dice, and I was mostly defensive. Like the dice were Rex's pistol. I think it was the A280 at the time, and it was Jin's blaster for obvious reasons. 2 of those, all right. But then mostly I had healing and removal, and it wasn't too much pushing damage. It was just consistently chipping away, make them make bad decisions. Everything they do costs them something that pushes you towards the end. So that's the approach I've taken here as well. So returning to the deck, we have 2 Await the Dawn, 2 Black Market Connections, 2 Charm Offensive, right? So you should be able to use, right, Qi'ra. You're only going to be passing out 1 Charm token around with Qi'ra. So you could be using it to do that 1 ping, but I think having it available to remove the dice that you need or don't want to take to the face, I think is the right answer. Doubt, Fury, that is dependent on Maul, but it's just legit good. Headstrong, that is our restricted card, but it's the only one here. Lawless, Smash, the Upper Hand, and Trick. Now, as you can see, this is very defensive. We have 2 Lawless and 2 Headstrongs. So cost curve's a little high there, but we don't have all that many upgrades. And like I said, if this is going to work as a flex mill kill, I think it has to take the chip away approach. Right? So that's the deck. That's what I'm going to be playing around with. That said, I question whether this is going to be able to do that. I think it's probably better to push damage in this scenario overall. But let me know what y'all are thinking. So it's very cool to be able to have discussions like this, right? It's very cool to be able to have discussions like this. I like it. Let me know what you're thinking. Nothing else, folks. Go Commando.